Hey, this is Shen, and I'm going to be explaining how to write a story with music. First, in order to write a story, you must pick a scenery in which the events are going to take place in. For me, I decided to pick a forest. Since I picked a forest, it is now my responsibility as a musician and composer to write 4 bars that sound like forest music. My end goal is to make my listener feel like he's in a forest. So, once I have my 4 bars of forest music, I move on to song structure and telling the story. Pretend this is 4 bars of forest music. Pretend this is 4 bars of forest music. Okay? I have my intro here, my climax here, my ending here. Pretend that behind the ledger lines is a forest. So, there's a melody going through the forest. We have question, answer, tension, release. And let's pretend that our melody is a character. Let's write our story. The melody wakes up, meets his friends, gets warned there's something going on in the forest, finds a solution, and goes back to sleep. So that's a pretty basic story, right? It's like just a single day event. So that's what happens in the forest. But that's kind of boring. So let's cut this, set them apart, bring something new to the table. Bam! Mechanical City. So that lays in between here. Now I want you to imagine that each box is a button, and every time I press the button, it creates the type of music. Like this is forest. So if I push this, it'll create forest music. If I push this, it'll be Mechanical City music. This one too, and this is, if I push this is forest music. Okay, so now we have forest, Mechanical City, forest. Let's write a story. The melody goes through the forest, finds out something's wrong, and then we have to create a reason what's wrong that leads into Mechanical City. So we say that there are robots destroying the forest. So he battles the robots, he barely survives, and he goes back home to tell his family and friends what's going on and what happened, and then he went back to sleep. We have a story. That's a story. It starts off, there's climax, ending. Yeah. So that's a melody. But forest, Mechanical City, forest, let's make it more interesting. Let's cut this, add another scene, and then repeat, and eventually you get this. Looks like a rainbow, doesn't it? I'll go ahead and explain. Here I have forest, and then from the forest went to city, and then I decided to add a desert scene, and then the ruins. So our hero goes to the forest, city, desert, ruins, sky, and then he ends up in the cosmos. And each one of these is a button. So if I push this, forest music, city music, desert music, ruin music, sky music, cosmic music. And then we have a melody going through each and every one of these sceneries, reacting differently to the events that are going on. And then, so let's go ahead and tell a story. Our hero starts off in the forest, finds out that his people are dying, and then he goes out further and he finds out that they're being killed by robots. He fights the robots, barely survives, and then he goes on to the desert. And right here he says they say he must go through the desert, survive the desert, in order to get a stone from the ruins that sends him up to the Sky Island to fight the thing that's controlling everything, the phenomena in the cosmos. And this is the Grand Galactic Battle. And that's a Grand Galactic Battle, and he fights and he wins, but then he finds out that he must escape and he must go back because the cosmos is collapsing. They need to go to a different parallel universe. That brings him over here to the Sky Island, but the Sky Island's falling, so then he must go and he falls into the ruins, but the ruins is falling, so he has to get through the ruins, and he ends up in the desert. And when he's in the desert, he survives and he goes through, and then he's in the city where with the robots. All the robots are gone and they're dead. And then he goes back into the forest, meets up with his people, celebrates that all is well, and he goes back to sleep. Interesting, isn't it? And that's how you tell a story. And you just write music to the scenery and create scenery through music. And the reason I started off with forest and I ended with forest is because it gives it closure. It closes the entire story off. That's it. No more. See? Forest connected with forest. Interesting, isn't it? And that's how you tell a story with music. Thank you.